everybody told me like, Quinn, wear at least a collared shirt. It's like I don't think Tim Shriver is going to be wearing one, but okay.
I should be wearing a collared shirt, but I'm on Quinn. I'm a friend of Quinn's. So I figured I'd try to look a little hipper.
You're on Quinn Cam.
Quinn Cam, yeah, exactly.
So you are Tim Shriver. Are you still chairman of Special Olympics, or did you step down?
I'm chair of the board of Special Olympics, but my day job now is the co-founder of a new startup called Unite.us.
Okay. I mean, as we all know, this is a big year for getting out the vote for the election. Why do you think why do you, Tim Shriver, think it's important for people with disabilities to go out and vote?
Well, first of all, I think people with disabilities have been told a lie for many years, for generations, really. They've been told that they either shouldn't vote, can't vote, or don't deserve to vote. All of those are untrue. So the first reason to vote is to end the long stigma and the long campaign against people with disabilities that says they shouldn't vote, don't deserve to, or can't. Secondly, I would say, Quinn, and I think you and I agree on this, that the voices and experience of people with disabilities, all kinds of differences really, are critical to the future of the United States. We're in a time right now of great division, where the very idea of a free country is at stake, where people don't believe that this is a country of justice, where many people are challenging the very idea that we're a country where every person counts. And the people who most understand what the problem is and what the solution is often those who have experienced the negative side, those who have experienced isolation. People with disabilities have over and over again been routinely excluded. So they have the secrets, they have the wisdom, they have the power to help heal our whole country. They have to vote to show that power. And I think finally, I would just say very simply, every presidential election, every election is important. Everybody should vote. No vote should be taken for granted. Every vote counts. And the extent to which we convince Americans that voting is their moral responsibility, but more importantly, their great privilege, the more we can convince people that that's true, the more likely we are to have a country that embodies the gifts of every human being.
What is your view on Dr. Fauci? I mean, so one of the things I'd love to do is I'd love to interview him. What he thinks about people with disabilities voting in the midst of a pandemic. What do you think about
Well, I think, look, Dr. Fauci and the great doctors and public health professionals in our country have tried their best to educate us about staying safe in the face of a deadly disease. Many Americans have listened, not all have, unfortunately, and sometimes we've paid a price for that, and we've paid a price regardless, even for those of us who've tried to do our best. Sometimes the outcome has been disastrous and so painful, and I think we should always remember in times like this to have a great respect for and gratitude to the frontline workers, the EMTs, the people who drive ambulances, the frontline nurses, healthcare workers in hospitals, ICU doctors, researchers who are working on vaccines and therapeutics. I mean, these people are really doing life-saving work and often sacrificing their own lives. But I think they would all agree, I can't imagine any of them not agreeing, that voting should take place even in the midst of a pandemic. It's not as though the pandemic says we shouldn't be a democracy. The pandemic, so we're going to have to find new ways. We're going to have to vote by mail. We're going to have to vote electronically. We're going to have to vote with longer opportunities to get to polling places. I mean, we haven't figured it out yet. We've seen disasters in this way, but I think Dr. Fauci, and I'm pretty sure if he came here, he would say that people with disabilities should vote. Absolutely, 100%, no questions asked.
People with disabilities should go out and vote, or should they have it sent to them, their ballots?
Well, I think, look, we should follow the guidelines of public health doctors. If going out means social distancing and wearing a mask, and that's safe in your area, then maybe people with disabilities can do that if they don't have great vulnerabilities. But if they have underlying conditions and vulnerabilities I think the guidance is pretty strong and clear. Stay home, vote by mail, vote through alternate means. These are, I've voted by mail this year. It's not difficult. It can be done. We're a 21st century democracy. It's not that hard to mail a ballot to a voter and to mail it back. I know there are many people with disabilities who struggle with these kinds of systems. Maybe they don't get mail. Maybe they often aren't seen on census tracts and so on. Maybe they haven't registered. But now is a good time to get a campaign going that encourages people to make sure to register, and if they need to vote by mail, to be prepared to get that ballot and get it back in before Election Day.
I think now, since most of us are at home, and if you're not registered, most of us don't have anything to do. Now would be the perfect time to try to go out there and get registered.
I think that's a great advice, to get registered. And I think, maybe it's difficult online. Maybe some people don't have these computers. Some people don't have internet. But maybe there's someone in your life who could help you, a brother, a sister, a parent, the caregiver, a professional, could help you get the forms. You're right. It's now just the beginning of summer. We have until the early part of November, at least for the general election. Take the time now to put this at the top of your list. Everybody's got a long list of things they want to do. Put this at the top. Register and vote. Should be at the top priority for every American, especially every American who has any kind of difference or disability. How many people who can vote don't? Yeah. I mean, I know there are many reasons. I know people have lost hope, lost faith, lost confidence in the country. I understand that. But now, this election, let's change that loss of faith and hope, and let's vote for a change. Vote for hope. Vote for justice. Vote for transformation. People talk about systems being broken. The way to change the system is to vote. At least that's one way to change it. There are other ways too, but that's one important way to change the system. Vote.
Yeah. What's next for you? What are you working on now?
I'm working on ways to bring people who are uniters. There's a vast, I think, exhausted, discouraged majority in this country. They're not being heard by people in political office. They're not being seen in media channels. They're not being understood by pollsters frequently. They're being overlooked. And so we're always being divided. I'm trying to build content platforms for uniters, people that want to bring us together, people that want to tell the stories that bring us together, want to do the design of new ways of solving big problems that bring people together, new practices that can unite us internally so that we don't have such high levels of anxiety and fear of the future and of each other. Strategies for healing our relationships. Quinn, you and I both know people who have broken off relationships because of all the division in the country. My hope is to build a platform that will bring out the people who can teach us how to overcome that division with connection and dignity and unity.
You're such a lazy guy, man. I mean, geez.
Well, I try hard. Doesn't mean I get very far, but I try hard.
I mean, you're never doing anything at all, just sitting at home doing nothing.
I'm just trying to keep up with you, buddy. I'm just trying to keep up with you.
Well, hey, man, thanks so much for this interview. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Quinn.
Yeah.